Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of DMP for That's My Podcast. It's just me again today, but I hope you all enjoyed the last episode. That was kind of like my first, collab with another podcaster. It was great. I had a great time with Liv, so I hope that you all enjoyed that episode. And I hope to do more collabs in the future. So if you're another podcaster out there, feel free to hit me up. We can figure out something. And I'm sure JJ will be on plenty of other times. But this week, I just kind of wanted to touch on a topic that, I was kind of trying to wrap my brain around this week. I didn't really know what to talk about. There's so many different topics, so you would think that, you would never run out of something to talk about. But sometimes it's hard to think about, what do I really want to sit down for, 20, 30 minutes, whatever, and, really talk about? And, how can I make it kind of, useful or a little bit insightful or just, entertaining? But, this week, I wanted to talk about sleep. So I feel like there's so many aspects to this episode, but I just wanted to touch on a few things. First of all, are y'all night owls or morning people? Because or are you both? Is it possible to really be both? I think so, honestly. But I feel like it somewhat kind of depends on childhood, lifestyle, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I definitely feel JJ tries to say that I'm not a morning person because he'd be waking up at 4:30, sometimes 5 a.m. He's like, let's go to the gym. Sometimes we'd be sleeping in together, but then sometimes he's like, let's get up, let's go. And I'm really throughout our entire time that we've been together, I've never been like that. I've never really woken up him. I'm always sleeping. But when I was younger, not kid wise, but early teenage years, I feel like I was definitely more of a morning person. I would get up early and I would be go until late at night, honestly. I would be a morning person and a night owl for sure. And then I really I realized I was only getting a couple, I literally was getting 3 hours of sleep. And I think during that time, eventually after years of that, I really just got tired. I guess my body just got burnt out. I never believed anybody when they would say, especially because I was just so young, being 17, 18, why? But people would always be like, you got to take care of your body, if you don't give it rest, it will force itself to it'll force you to give it rest. And I never believed that until it really did happen to me. I had a whole year where honestly, I struggled to wake up every single morning. And it was the first time that I really sometimes, you're not always excited to wake up in the morning necessarily, especially if you didn't get a lot of sleep. But it was never hard for me to get up. I could wake up, roll out of bed. This time it was wake up, I'm not getting up out of bed, and I'll sleep for another 4 hours. That crazy. And people used to think there was something wrong with me. It was a whole thing. That's for another episode, I feel. But yeah, so I guess I just didn't know, do y'all stay up late? Are y'all a morning person? And do you feel there's a pro and a cons list? Do you feel like people who are night owls have it better? Do you feel people who are morning people have it better? And I guess with this episode, I kind of just wanted to talk about sleep in general and have a conversation about it. But I also kind of wanted to give tips if you kind of feel you're not as productive, whether you're a night owl or a morning person, kind of a way to feel productive and still get some sun. No matter what, if you're a night owl, please still go outside. You still need some sun because I swear you'll get depressed. And my sister sent me, we were talking the other day, and she sent me this fun tweet, and it was I think I'm I love being a homebody until I go outside and have one conversation with somebody and I realize I'm kind of crazy. And it's sometimes that can be kind of true. Sometimes I feel if I'm stay in the house, I'm just chilling, and that goes on for a while before I work from home, right? So if I feel it's a really long time before I interact with someone other than JJ or something like that, or in my circle, sometimes I feel I can be so awkward. So no matter if you're a morning person, night owl, make sure that you're getting the necessary hours of sleep, necessary interactions with humans, getting the necessary sunlight, even if that includes having to get a sun lamp for yourself, whatever, But I understand y'all gamers, I grew up with those people in my life. So if you're a gamer out there, still shout out to you anyways, even though I know you're probably a night out. But speaking of like all the gamers out there, or the people who have like, you get up early, you have like work or whatever, like super early in the morning, like, okay, I think like, I used to always think this was like not necessary, like I didn't have a bedtime growing up, like ever really. Like, I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a knock on my parents or anything like that, but it's just like, they never really like put me to bed and was like, you need to sleep at this time, or like lights out or TV off or whatever. Like I slept with the TV on all night, and I would honestly, like, I spent a lot of times, this is a funny story, but like I used to literally sleep in my school clothes and like just like stay up like all night and like watch TV and stuff. Like, and I wouldn't necessarily say it was like necessarily my parents' fault. It's just like I never was told, like I never had a bedtime. It was never like you need to be in bed by this time and have your whole night routine done or whatever. I didn't even have a night routine, like none of that. And so I think like kind of growing up, I just kind of lived my life with that, like, okay, what time do I need to be up? Okay, like what time should I try to go to bed? And I kind of did that like throughout like my whole life, like especially working retail. If like I worked an early shift, I would try to go to bed earlier. Like if I had a later shift, like towards the afternoon, I'd be like, okay, I can stay up late tonight or whatever. And a lot of times like that was just like how I was still able to kind of balance, like, because I like staying up late and like doing stuff. And then, but I also like feeling productive, And so it's just kind of like, it's kind of tough. And sometimes you stay up late because you feel like you weren't productive throughout the day, stuff like that. And so like, this is why, like full circle, I feel like you need like a night or a sleep routine. I think you should try to get like, a certain amount of hours every single night. Like people say like 8 hours is a must. And honestly, I feel like that's pretty true. I think people will flex and be like, I only got 2 hours of sleep last night, like no big deal, whatever. And I'm not hating on you, but just know that it's not healthy for your body. Like it's great and all that you're able to be up this next day and that you're feeling all right. I'm glad that you're not dying or collapsing on the ground or whatever. But, and like pulling all-nighters can sometimes be fun, there's a time and a place. But I guess what I'm trying to say is just like, there's no need to flex for consistently sleeping 3-4 hours a night. Like that's not what your body needs, especially whenever like you're younger. You need a lot of sleep because you're growing still, you're just going through a lot of shit too, like emotionally, whatever. So I feel like sleep is very important for us to like, especially if you work out too, you need necessary sleep if you're trying to like bulk or whatever, you're trying to gain muscles. So I definitely feel like maybe sometimes, I get it. I'm 23, 8 hours for some reason, it's difficult to get 8 hours, especially if you like really work and stuff and like you want to do stuff other than just your job, So I get sometimes 8 hours. It's hard, especially with our phones and stuff. But I think specifically just having a routine and making sure that you get a decent amount of sleep is very important. Like it's very true that you can never make up for sleep, And I used to think that sleeping was like such a waste of time. Like I was one of those annoying people for real. Like I was like, I just want to keep on doing stuff and everything like that. Like I don't want to take naps. Like I don't want to go to sleep just yet. And that's not the way to think, like sleep is so important. And then just having a routine is important in general. I think I've realized, growing up without one to now, like I'm still trying to work out my routine myself, not gonna lie. But I think it's important. I think it's necessary because I think it's important for your body to kind of get on like kind of like a schedule. I feel like it can get thrown out of whack really easy, and like you can kind of never feel rested or refreshed if you don't have an actual sleep routine and a night routine. And I think sleep and night routine are two separate things. Like I think having a night routine is something that you do for yourself, like make sure brush your teeth, wash your face, like moisturize, like do whatever you need to do. Like if you listen to like certain music, or you have a certain show that you like to watch, or you like to read. I think like having a night routine is helpful to have a sleep routine. And then having a sleep routine in turn helps you have better days and more productive days too. And so sleep routine is important. Something that like I like to do. I've always been like, I always like to, do the night routine with like washing my face and, doing the skincare, stuff like that. Just getting comfies. And then since I grew up watching the TV a lot, I definitely tend to like turn on the TV, but I know that's not the best. Like a lot of people can't sleep having the TV on. Which, past having a sleeping routine or like the, a specific amount of hours that you like to get, whatever, is also important like about your sleep quality. So, setting the tone for your sleep. What are you thinking about before bed? What is on? What are you being entertained by? All these different things come into play. What's the lighting? And I think everybody's different. And so that's why I say like, I honestly like sometimes depending on what's on the TV, like sometimes having the TV on in the background really genuinely helps me fall asleep because I am a chronic overthinker. And so like at nighttime, I'm trying to get better about just doing this myself, but like I tend to like overthink scenarios in my head once my day's over and I actually finally sit down to like lay down and go to bed. I tend to like replay scenarios in my head, or I just overthink. My brain like won't stop, and sometimes it's not always negative or anything like that, but either way it's hard to fall asleep because my brain is like still being constantly stimulated. And so that's why sometimes like if I just put on like Bob's Burgers, I go through phases: Bob's Burgers, Gumball, Adventure Time. I've gone through a lot of different, it's mostly cartoons. Fish Hooks, that's, I know for all my Disney haters, but that show's fire. But anyways, like certain things will help me like kind of go to sleep. Like The Office, for the longest time, The Office helped me. So it's just like something that I like, that's like happy in the background. Like don't be watching like Texas Chainsaw Massacre right before you go to bed or something like that, but like I just like having something like kind of happy in the background that I don't really have to pay attention to, but it's just nice because for some reason, like especially if it's a show that I've seen before, my brain will kind of like, I don't know if that's good, I guess, but it will kind of like disconnect, like just be thinking like happy, and I can just like kind of drift off into sleep. Like it allows myself to get tired and my brain to kind of like not keep on consistently thinking about stuff throughout my day. And so I feel like finding what works for you is super important. But what works for me, like what I like, JJ's like the complete opposite of me. So, like knowing like, know your partner and try to be like accommodating. So like with him, like different things that have helped, like I feel like he is like, because of the military background in him, like he's very much like if he needs to get up like right then, like I used to kind of like make fun of him at first because like it would literally be like an alarm would go off, or not even an alarm would go off, and he'd be like laying down and he would just boop, pop right back up, like, and he would just like get up immediately. Whereas like me, it's like, oh, my alarm goes off or whatever, I hear noise, like I'm a really light sleeper, so like if he gets up, then like I'll get up. And like that's happened like at all my sleepovers, like growing up when my dad would like wake up to go to work. It's just always happened to me. I don't know why. I like, maybe I'm not sleeping good, I don't know, but I've just always been a light sleeper. But like he's such a deep sleeper, but as soon as like his eyes open, like he will get up out of bed. Like he's kind of gotten into like more where he's like, if he feels more like recognizing if he feels tired still or not, and then like he might lay back down or whatever. But I just always like, I think that comes from his military background of like, people yelling for him to get up and shit, like, and him having to be ready in an instant. And so like we're very different in that way. And then falling asleep, he's very much like, he had his own room growing up and stuff like that. And so like, he likes it very dark, no noise, anything like as quiet as it can be and like as dark as it can be is like super helpful. So like, at first, like it was kind of like a struggle for me. I just kind of like adjusted pretty much because like a lot of people don't really like TV and like lights on or anything like that. I don't necessarily like lights. I just like a consistent noise, I guess. That's like not super annoying. Like even if it's just like a fan or something like that I can kind of like think about, you know. And so like that can be helpful for me. But like I kind of had to just like I just kind of had to like deal with it, and I was fine. I was able to fall asleep and stuff. It would just take me longer. And so now sometimes like I'll leave a show on, but then I'll just like turn it off like whenever I realize I'm like really drifting into sleep or whatever. And like for a while too, whenever he was having trouble going to bed, we put on like ocean noises or like fireplace, like rain, like thunderstorms, and that was super helpful, I think, for him too. Like it was super calming. And it was also, they have them on YouTube where it's just like black screen. That way you can like put on like your TV and it doesn't put out any light even though you're having the TV on. And then it's like multiple hours and then eventually it just turns itself off. But like, well, depending on what TV I guess you have. But then it would just have that, you know, it's like a calming noise. And so I think that was kind of like a really great compromise like between the two of us for a minute, because like now I've gotten a lot better. Like I don't really need the TV or anything like yeah, I've grown up, you know. I'm just joking, but like I don't really need the TV or anything like that anymore. It does help me go to bed, especially if I'm like having a bad anxious like day. But lately it's been better to where like I can just turn off the TV like and we can just go to bed. But that was really nice. So like that's a good little tip if you like, if your significant other, whatever, like your best friend, your roommate, whatever, like if they have opposite sleep styles to you, something that may help, you know, meet in the middle. It's on YouTube, you know, the rain, thunderstorms, they got fireplaces. It's pretty nice, honestly. But yeah, I think that can help with sleep quality. So like, what's your lighting like? What's the noise like? And what is your alarm? Oh my gosh, like I was trying to change my alarm on my phone last night, and I swear it was pretty horrendous. Like I literally felt like I was getting like PTSD from like going through the alarm list and trying to find one that was like more chill, and like going through old ones that I've had on my phone, because you know you gotta cycle through them, like, you know. And oh my gosh, it was terrible. But like I think your alarm is also helpful for like the start of your day, you know, like what you think about, or if you wake up really anxious, like, or if you're already an anxious person, like having a really loud alarm is not going to be helpful. And like, I know some people are like, well, I don't wake up if it's not like that. Just try it. And if you have another person, like while you're testing out new alarm noises, you know, like have a friend or something, like if you don't live with anybody, like have a friend or something like call you, you know. I'm sure you got a homie that would be like, that would call you if like at the time that you like, just in case if you didn't wake up, you know. That can be like super helpful, you know, like, because it really is important like how you wake up. And so that's another like part of like sleep quality, I feel, you know. Like if you're like already waking up anxious, then you're not like getting up out of bed feeling like rested anymore, no matter how well your sleep really was. So alarms can be important, and like again how you set your environment before you went to bed. And also like setting an intention can be helpful for just getting up in general, like if you're struggling like trying to become a morning person, you know. I kind of like heard this on another podcast actually that was like motivation, I'm gonna butcher it, but they kind of said like motivation isn't necessarily like a thing. It's pretty much like, or it's not necessarily that someone has motivation and then another person doesn't. It's something that you create within yourself, in the sense of like, what is your why? So like if you end up sleeping in, you're motivated to sleep in because of whatever reason. You felt tired, so you felt like your body needed more rest, or, you know, like you didn't feel like there was a better reason for getting up, and so you stayed in bed. So I think that was like a really kind of like eye-opening. I know it kind of sounds like stupid, but like it really was kind of eye-opening to me, in the sense of just like, you know what, like that's very true all this time. Like sometimes I think like, oh, I just wasn't determined enough or whatever. And it's just like, no, you just need to set a stronger intention. Give yourself a reason for doing something. And I think that helps with the amount of effort and energy that you put into a situation or changing habits. And so like whenever for a minute, whenever I was trying to like wake up, which not gonna lie, I stopped doing this, but I have been able to like get up faster and like better. Like I don't linger anymore. And so like something that helped me was before I would go to bed, writing a Post-it note and putting it on my phone, like for a reason of why I'm getting up, and like just kind of a little motivational like message to myself, like to give me a little bit of like a pep talk. And that way, whenever I would like, my alarm would go off and I would turn it off, I could read that, which like some people are really groggy, but it's just kind of like, I guess it's just kind of like the thought that counts. It's just like a little extra thing where it's an extra little, thing to get you moving, to get you excited, or to try to get you up, try to give you a reason of why you need to do something. And that can be like with any type of habit as well, not just like sleeping. If you're trying to eat better, put little notes on the fridge or, on the cabinets and stuff like that. If you, if you're trying to like not watch TV as much or get on your phone as much, like set different timers for yourself to only be there on a certain amount of time, and like put Post-it notes around the house to help you stay like mindful. Mindful is like being mindful, and mindfulness is super important. Man, drinking game. How many times I just said mindful? Like, oh my gosh. But going off of like, sleep quality, if all else fails, then there's always napping to help you feel more rejuvenated and refreshed. A good power nap is important, and that I think is a part of adulting. Like again, I used to feel like sleeping was like a waste of time, and that definitely included naps. Like I never used to take a nap, ever. I would like, even if I was like so tired, I would just work through it until the end of the day. And a lot of times it was because I like had to, but I also never thought of napping as like an option. And so until I really like, it was honestly until I met JJ, honestly, that I started taking naps. Like one day I was like over, and he was like, I really want to take a nap, and I didn't want to leave, so like we were just like chill, like we just started taking naps together and like in the middle of the day, and it was just like, it was so nice, especially because it was like winter, so seasonal depression. It's just like, and like sometimes it was just so peaceful, especially in that like specific apartment that he had. It was just kind of vibey, and like with the little like Christmas lights and stuff like that. It was just like, it would be nice. And honestly, like I had just kind of started like, I'd started like a new job at that point, like the working from home and stuff like that. So like kind of taking like naps, like power naps, was never really like an option before, because I would like work during the, like with retail and stuff like that. Like I worked a schedule where it's like really prime nap time was, I was always at work no matter what day. And so it was really nice, honestly. Like I started realizing once I actually decided to take the time to do it, that naps are really nice. Like it honestly made me feel like I could be productive again, especially like now I started working out early in the morning and stuff like that. And like, like if you wake up at 5, 6 and get everything in, like your whole morning thing, and like get productive before 8, and like you work a specific chunk of time, like you might be pretty tired, or you might not want to do anything after you finish work and stuff like that. Taking a short nap can be helpful to give you the extra motivation to still do something productive for yourself, because I think that's like super important. Sometimes I feel like we can get caught up in just like in this economy. No, I'm just joking. But like sometimes I feel like we can get caught up in how the economy is and how like life is, I talk about this a lot of like how it's kind of like structured for us to live our lives, like how we're pushed to, and we can get caught in like, just waking up, going to work, and then just relaxing and going to bed. And I think not as much time, I guess, but like we spend so much time working for other companies, we need to invest time in ourselves too. And so I think like it kind of sounds like a little bit ridiculous that napping is a part of that, but sometimes I feel like it's kind of necessary. Like if you feel really tired and you don't feel like you can give yourself the best you, take a little nap. It's not going to be the end of the world. Like spending 30 minutes to an hour like getting more rested so you can get up and go do something for yourself, go out with your friends, or do something productive at the house, finish something that you were trying to create, whatever, and actually giving it your all versus just giving like a half-assed job because you're exhausted and then just falling asleep. I think like then that's what you need to do. And so that was kind of like the last point that I kind of wanted to talk about sleep. I feel like I say this in all my episodes. Maybe it's just like the way I just decided to structure my podcast, I guess, or the way I write things down sometimes. But I feel like I was a little bit all over the place, or maybe like I was just talking so fast today. I don't know. Maybe I just have a lot of energy right now. I just finished watching a show, and so I'm feeling pretty talkative. But anyways, that was pretty much all that I wanted to talk about. In conclusion, just, first things first, if you're a morning person or a night owl, neither is bad. So don't let people try to tell you that it's a negative thing that you're either. But what is important is always getting everything necessary for your body. So, always making sure that you're still being productive. That is important. Goals, that's important. And then also getting sun no matter what. If you're a night owl, you still need some sun. And then also having a night routine and a sleep schedule. Like sleep schedule is important, and that'll help you get more hours than 3 or 4 hours of sleep. So don't try to, if you try to only get that amount of sleep, remember it will catch up to you. Don't think that you're different than everybody else and that you're better than everybody else. I'm so sorry, but you're just a human, No, nobody's, what is it? Nobody's nervic? Gosh, I can't ever remember that saying, and it's so easy. You just switch the letters, right? Okay, there's no one here to tell me if I'm right or wrong, and I'm going to keep this in, so have fun laughing at me if I said it wrong. But, we're just human, and napping is kind of a must once you become adult. Like, I know we hated it as kids, some of us, but it's a must. So do it and don't be ashamed, And then also pay attention to sleep quality. Actually, really pay attention to how you feel when you wake up. And, are you refreshed? Are you rejuvenated? Do you still feel exhausted? Do you wake up automatically with like negative thoughts? What were your dreams? Dreaming. Oh my gosh, that could be a whole nother episode. Cause yeah. Okay. Waiting for that to be another episode. But, pay attention to your alarms. What's the lighting around you? What's the noise around you? And try to think positive thoughts before bed. Manifest positivity, But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for today. Again, if you have any ideas of what you would want me to talk about, or tips or tricks or whatever for anything else, feel free to let me know. Thank you so much for listening. Even if you didn't even, if you're hearing this, thank you. I appreciate you. And I really do, it really does mean a lot to me. This is my 11th episode that I'll be putting out, and it's just crazy. I know that it hasn't I don't have 1 million followers or anything like that, but honestly, just thinking about that I have some listeners, and especially consistent ones, it's crazy. So I genuinely appreciate you all, and I'm really thankful for everybody who takes the time to listen, and things will only go up from here, So I appreciate you, and I hope you have a great rest of your night, day, work shift, life, whatever, and I'll talk to you guys later.